Hi, I'm Dennis Phillips, and welcome to Everyday Reloading and Shooting. All right, so I've got a couple of videos out there on reloading 223, and I've gotten a couple of comments about how I sort my brass. One of the things I point out is that I sort my brass not by head stamp, but by weight. And the question came up in one of the reloading forums that I was on, because if you've got 20 different head stamps of brass and you're trying to keep count of how many times each one was fired, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, whatever, it gets very tedious. You're going to have a lot of containers to sort those out. So my question to the group was, how do you sort your brass? And what I thought was the best answer that I heard came from a fellow named Aaron Carpenter. He was a group expert in that particular forum, been reloading for a long time. And he said that he sorts by case weight, because his thinking is that if the external dimensions of the cases are all the same, then that would mean that there's a difference in the internal volume, meaning that there's a thickness and the difference in the case wall, causing a difference in case weight, which would change the internal volume, which would change the pressure. Therefore, his recommendation was that you sort by case weight. So what I've done here, I'm going to compare this. I bought a bunch of Hornady ammo. I looked online, and Hornady brass for 223 was 60 cents per round. And I found this Hornady, they refer to it as their training ammo, but it's basically 55 grain full metal jacket bullets. It's traveling at 3,240 feet per second at the muzzle. So I got these, I think it was $30 for a box of 100. So for the price of an unloaded case, I got a fully loaded round of 223. So what I've done, I've shot these and I've resized the cases and reloaded them. And I'm shooting IMR 3031 powder at 22.7 grains. And I've got 20 loaded with Hornady 3 times fired brass, all trimmed to 1.75 inches. And then I've got 20 rounds of mixed head stamp, and those are all weighed between 93 and 93 and a half grains. And to find those, I probably had to go through 100 rounds sorting those out to find 20 that were within 93 to 93 and a half grains of weight. So we're going to shoot these at 100 yards, 20 shots for each group, and then we're going to measure those with the Hornady 4DOF ballistics app with the group analysis function, and we're going to compare those, and we're going to see if separating by head stamp or if separating by case weight was better. Now, I suppose you could make an argument that Hornady brass is just okay, that maybe if I were using Lapua brass or Alpha Munitions or something else, perhaps I might get a different result here, and I might. But I'm shooting Hornady, all the same head stamp, and comparing that against mixed head stamp. And so we'll shoot those and we'll see how they perform. All right, so as mentioned at the start of this video, I'll be shooting two 20-shot groups using 22.7 grains of IMR 3031 powder with a 52 grain boat tail hollow point bullet. This has worked well for me before. And so what we're doing here is we're shooting a 20-shot group with all matched Hornady head stamps, trimmed to 1.75 inches. And then we'll also be shooting a 20-shot group with mixed head stamp, and those have been sorted by case weight. So the idea is to see if sorting by case weight or by head stamp produces the better result. So let's get going and see how we do. As always, you're welcome to enjoy the music while I fast forward through my shooting, or you can skip forward to the results that follow. Shooting at 100 yards. All right, so there's two 20-shot groups of Hornady head stamp and mixed head stamp. So let's bring them in and see how they look. All right, so this was my barrel fouling group. I shot 3 shots, which were here, here, and here. Same hole on that one. And so then I adjusted it to the left, 2 clicks, and hit there. I adjusted it 1 more click and hit here. This was my point of aim. But before I began shooting, I adjusted it 1 click up so it would shoot a little bit higher so as to not destroy the point of aim. It looks like on the extreme spread, the matched Hornady may have done a little bit better, although here we're a little bit more scattered. But we shall take these home, measure them, see how they look, and get back to you. All right? All right, here are my results from the range. I'm shooting 22.7 grains of IMR 3031 powder with a 52 grain boat tail hollow point bullet, and I'm shooting 2 20-shot groups at that load. What we're doing here, this is called a mix and match, because what I'm doing here is I'm shooting 2 different groups, and one of these I'm using the Hornady head stamp brass, 3 times fired, trimmed to 1.75 inches. And in the second group, I'm using a mixed head stamp brass. They're different manufacturers, but these have been sorted by weight. These are all 3 times fired, and these weighed between 93 and 93.5 grains each. So on the Hornady, looks like the Hornady head stamp was marginally better than the mixed head stamp in terms of the extreme spread, but not in terms of mean radius. So here we've got our average extreme spread from here to here, from top to bottom, and it's 1.22 inches. This is our average point of impact right here. It's 23 hundredths of an inch to the right and 48 hundredths of an inch high. And I deliberately sight the rifle in so that it shoots high so as not to destroy my point of aim. But our mean radius was 0.39 inches. And of course, the radius is half a circle. So if you double that, that means that with 20 shots, your average group size was 0.78 inches. If we come down to the mixed head stamp, our extreme spread was from here to here, and it was 1.38 inches. So on the mixed head stamp, it opened up a little bit, but that's just the extreme spread. If you look at here, you see how these shots are all clustered right in here. And we had a 0.37 mean radius, which a radius is half a circle. So if you double that, that means out of 20 shots, your average group size was 0.74 inches. So I think that's pretty respectable. And I would not hesitate to use this as a target load. You can definitely use it for varmints like coyotes, rock chucks, ground squirrels. And you see that they shot very similarly, whether it was the Hornady head stamp or the mixed head stamp. There wasn't a whole lot of difference, with the mean radius being 0.39 on the Hornady brass and 0.37 on the mixed head stamp brass. It actually shot a little bit better sorting by case weight. And that mean radius is what you want to look for, because you can have one flyer off to the side and that can throw your extreme spread off. But when you're shooting a 20-shot group and you're looking at that mean radius, that's going to actually give you more information about how your rifle is performing. They shot slightly differently because the Hornady brass was 0.23 inches to the right and 0.48 inches high in elevation, and the mixed stamp was 0.13 to the right and 0.34 in elevation. So it's actually a little bit closer to the point of aim than the Hornady brass was. Now, it might have been different if I were using, say, something like a Lapua brass, or maybe Alpha Munitions or Starline or something of that nature. I might have gotten a different result here. But these are my results with the Hornady versus a mixed head stamp brass. I did want to insert one more observation here about the difference between these two groups. If you look at this first group, you'll see that there's actually two clusters of shots here and here. And of course, there's a few outliers here, here, and here. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe that this first group came, and I'm shooting 20 shots and I'm using 10 round magazines. The first magazine, I believe these shots grouped here, and I believe the second magazine, the shots grouped here. I have no idea why that changed. I don't know if it was a difference in the way I was holding my rifle after I changed the magazines out. I wouldn't think so, because I was still aiming at this point. But nevertheless, we've got two separate groups. This group is pretty close to the point of aim here, and this group is just above. But if you look down here, you have one cluster of shots here all together near the point of aim. And so I'm going to have to say that the mixed head stamp, where we sorted by case weight, actually performed better because the grouping looks better here. We've got a larger extreme spread of 1.38 versus 1.22, but the mean radius is tighter because the cluster of shots here together is tighter. So at 0.37 versus 0.9, that gives you an average group size of 0.74 versus 0.78. Not a substantial difference, but nevertheless, with two 20-shot groups, the mixed head stamp did perform better when they were sorted by weight. And what might even be better is if you have all the same head stamp to sort those by weight as well, because those won't always be identical either. I hope you find some of this information helpful, and please don't hesitate to leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. So if you have any ideas or thoughts about this video, please feel free to leave a comment below. Or if there's anything that you would like to see in the future, please let me know that. I always try to interact with everyone who comments. And I hope that you will like and share this with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.